Hello everyone, this is Karina. Today I'll present you a list of films about women scientists. First part, it just so happened on my life path that I came across a lot of sexist men, and the same stuff with almost all my female friends. So, predicting that some of my subscribers will face some negative men, I decided to make this video. This video is intended to open the view of the past and remind us all of the contribution that women made to the society and to the science and all what they've had to face during their life. At the end of the video, I will tell you my story when I was belittled as a woman in my work. Let's get started. Queen of the Desert. On February 6, 2015, at the Biennale Film Festival, German director Werner Herzog represented an epic biography film about Gertrude Bell called Queen of the Desert. The premiere aroused the interest of the audience, but was accompanied by rejection from many critics. In The Queen of the Desert, as a result of a long casting, probably the most stellar cast of all that has been in the paintings of Herzog gathered. In this film, Herzog's traditional motifs came together: Aborigines, natives, inhabitants of areas of Earth that civilization has not yet touched, and a charismatic personality obsessed with ideas that seem crazy to others. According to Herzog, the new film is a fantastic story about a fantastic person, Gertrude Bell. Nicole Kidman transformed into a girl named Gertrude Bell, a famous cartographer, archaeologist, and politician who, thanks to her misguided knowledge of Middle East, became an important figure in Britain's spy games for the first half of the 20th century. The film follows Bell's background after graduating from Oxford and her first experience in the Muslim world when she takes a job at the British Embassy in Tehran. She shows a passion for the new lands and peoples and learns to translate poems into Farsi. A young diplomat helps her in this. The film was originally supposed to be filmed in Syria, but due to the civil war in the country, the filming location has been moved. Jordan, Turkey, and United Kingdom has also been mentioned as a possible filming locations, but as a result, they settled on Morocco, Jordan, and London. I strongly recommend you a noteworthy picture from a famous documentary filmmaker with an all-star cast. The filming involved Nicole Kidman, Robert Pattinson, James Franco, and Damon Lewis. Hidden Figures. It is a 2016 American drama film based on a non-fiction book by author Marguerite Chatterley and directed by Theodore Melfi and written by Melfi and Alison Schroeder. This motion picture ended the top 10 films of 2016 and received various awards and nominations, including 3 nominations at Oscar. This is an emotional story about 3 women from NASA: Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Woolgan, and Mary Jackson, 3 Afro-American women working at the Lowell Research Center in NASA, 3 women who were able to achieve respect and take leadership positions in space in the 1960s, at the heart of Cold War, complicated by racial conflicts within the United States. In this picture, the viewer learns about all the difficulties that Americans face when sending their astronauts in space, as well as about Afro-American people who face racism that prevails in the company, overshadowed by their male counterparts, and in a country plagued by a deep inequality. The story of these girls went unnoticed for a long time, but then everything changes. The atmosphere of this film is absolutely breathtaking, rich. It allows the viewer to immerse themselves in the story told by 3 magnificent actresses, who are the soul and the heart of this film. Interestingly enough, after signing on to play on the lead role, Tarja P. Henson met with a real-life Katherine Johnson, who was 98 at the time, to discuss the character that she was going to portray. Of course, each of the characters in this film has different fates, but they are all bounded by the desire to change the history of their country. And we follow their work with interest and, above all, admiration. I would also like to note the amazing soundtracks for this masterpiece. Pharrell Williams wrote the songs for the Theodore Melfi biopic, while Benjamin Wallfisch and Hans Zimmer wrote additional music for it.
Everyone tends to make the joke that women in computer science are like unicorns, we kind of just don't exist.
The Queen of the Code. This documentary is dedicated to the first female programmer, U.S. Navy Rear Admiral Grace Hopper.
Play by the rules of the military, you have to accept that the number 2 officer that you were sent was a woman. And when he first met her, he was horrified that that would be his number 2 in charge.
Throughout her life, Grace Hopper has contributed to major computing projects that we still use today. She was named by National Computing a Man of the Year, and yet many people don't know about her. The Queen of the Code is a short documentary by Gillian Jacobs about Hopper. Is out to change that. Grace's main achievement is that she proved to everyone the ability of computers to perform not only arithmetic operations, but being the first compliant programming language. In the latest 40s of the 20th century, a few people could believe it.
They start coining her as the mother of computing, the mother of programming.
The genius in the world of computer science, though name is mysteriously absent from many history books. Her legacy went largely unnoticed alongside the other early computing genius. Even director Gillian Jacobs, best known for her role in the comedy series Community, admitted that she didn't know Hopper's name before signing up to direct The Queen of the Code. I have to confess that I didn't know who Grace Hopper was or anything about the early computers like Mark I, so I had to educate myself about it all, and through the process I really fell in love with Grace. I also discovered all these other women that were the first programmers, and that really blew my mind. It was sad because she's one of the most famous women in the history of computer science, and even still a lot of people don't know anything about her. I went to the Grace Hopper celebration of women in the computing to film, and I expected that everybody there would be encyclopedic about her. And I was shocked when we asked not only younger women, but really established women in the field about Hopper, and a lot of them knew nothing about her. I think there is much we can do to educate people about her story and other women of ENIAC. I'm really feeling the part of the history of computer science and restore women to it. As a result of the World War II, American women in the Grace Day assumed roles and positions that had previously been held by men. This prompted Grace to join the Navy and eventually work under Howard Aiken. She worked on what's known for the first computer, the Harvard Mark I, and led the team that created the first compiler that allowed non-mathematicians to program computers. Temple Grandin. Temple Grandin is one of the most famous scientists and animal psychologists of our time, but besides her extraordinary talent, she has one feature: she's an autist. Having gone through a difficult life path, from a girl who cannot speak to a professor lecturing on animal husbandry and autism, she proved that this disease is not a problem at all. Although throughout her life she's often had to deal with stereotypes and prejudice, anyway, she did not forget what kindness and mercy are. Temple Grandin, a biopic about Temple Grandin, an autistic woman who became one of the leading scientists in the agricultural industry. The heroine of this film socializes, finds her place in life.
Avez-vous lu la page, Mademoiselle Grandin?
No. I want to study French. I want to learn science.
Read the page, please.
Read it.
And what did it say?
Jean-Paul Sartre naît le 21 juin 1905 à Paris, Fils unique, il vient d'une famille bourgeoise. Son père est polytechnicien.
You learned it?
I just looked at it. Then I have the page in my mind and can read off the page and see pictures and connect them.
She designed more than a half of the slaughterhouses in the United States, and her key goal was the most humane treatment of animals. Temple is now a scientist and writer, teaching animal science at Colorado State University, and is an animal behavior consultant and author of several popular books. Grandin is one of the first to publicly share her personal experience with autism, and in 2010, Time magazine included her in the Heroes category of its annual Time 100 list of 100 most influential people in the world. Directed by Mickey Jackson and produced by HBO, Temple Grandin received 15 nominations for the prestigious TV Emmy Awards and won 7 awards, including the award for Outstanding Television, Miniseries or Movie. If you're lacking inspiration or a magical motivating film, now join in this wonderful film where Claire Denis received the Golden Globe for her role. DNA Secret Photo 51. The Nova Special tells the story of Rosalind Franklin, concentrating on her breakthrough discovery of the structure of DNA and how her discoveries were used without her permission by Watson, Crick, and Wilkins. In 1952, the laboratory of Rosalind Franklin, when she was a graduate student, photography was the key to determining the structure of DNA. Later, James Watson, Francis Crick, and Maurice Wilkins. It was he who showed the resulting photograph to Watson, received the 1962 Nobel Prize in Medicine. Photo 51 is the name given to an extra of DNA taken by biophysicist Rosalind Franklin and her graduate student Raymond Gosling in May 1952. The film will tell about the discovery of Rosalind's structure of DNA, the importance of her contribution to the study of DNA model, and late recognition. The Nobel Prize was awarded to the scientist posthumously. Her colleague Jane Watson written a book named Double Helix, known by now as the saga of cronyism, misogyny, anti-Semitism, and misconduct. The Double Helix includes the sexist depiction of Rosalind Franklin, the British chemist, whose work on X-ray crystallography enabled Watson and his DNA co-discoverers Francis Crick to actually see the structure of DNA. Ammonite. In the courtyard of the middle of the 19th century, in the outback of Victorian England, a woman does not have many prospects, stay at home and babysit children, or work without rest. The second path is chosen by amateur paleontologist Mary Anning, who walks fossil shells on the seashore from the morning to night. Mary Anning, living on the verge of poverty in a seaside town, meets a young lady, Charlotte, who has come to treatment after a tragedy. A scandalous and doomed romance begins between women from different worlds. In 2017, the director of Ammonite, Francis Lee, released his debut film God's Own Country, about a relationship between a British farmer and a Romanian migrant in the inaccessible mountains of England. The film received rave reviews and modest fame, was awarded a BAFTA nomination. In God's Own Country, a similar focus is groping. Despite the surrounding harshness of landscape, Lee exhumed extremely carefully the fragility of facing loneliness, the subsequent remission combining animal corporality with chamber tenderness. The director tried to implement similar techniques in Ammonite, not avoiding parallels with the festival hit of 2019, similar in aesthetics, Celine Sigma's portrait of Lady on Fire. Mary is extremely tight and impenetrable. Intuitively, the viewer feels the impossibility of self-realization, the breakup of relationships, the longing for illusory happiness that preceded such asceticism. It is based on historical figure Arch-Onin and her spiritual vibrations. The loudest accompaniment is the dullness and remoteness of scenery, an integral part of the film's debut. Radioactive. How not to mention the most famous couple in science, the one we all heard about in school, Pierre and Maria Curie. Maria Sklodowska-Curie, who discovered radium and became the first woman to receive the Nobel Prize. Paris, 1934. An elderly woman is being taken on a medical journey through the corridors of the hospital. Life literally flashes before her eyes and takes the action to the year 1893, when Polish immigrant scientist Maria Sklodowska, played by Rosamund Pike, met the French physicist Pierre Curie by Sam Riley. Just at this time, she was expelled from the laboratory of Faculty of Natural Sciences of the University of Paris, and Pierre offered her his help so that she could continue to study the unusual properties of uranium. Being a self-sufficient woman, Maria at first refuses to work with Curie, starting that she does not need a pity, but at the end, they manage to agree. Colleagues begin experiments, and years of work are not in vain. In 1903, already the spouses, Pierre and Marie Curie, received the Nobel Prize for Physics for the study of radiation. Together with her husband, Maria discovers new elements, radium and polonium, which later greatly influenced the fate of all humankind. Iranian-born French writer, artist and filmmaker Marjane Satrapi won the 2007 Cannes Film Festival Jury Prize for Persepolis, an animated film based on her autobiographical comic book. You must have heard of her. I also mentioned her in my work video about comics background. Satrapi knows firsthand what it means to be a woman in a world of men, and how difficult it is to achieve recognition in such conditions. It is not surprising that she has the interest in the story of another immigrant, experimental scientist Marie Sklodowska-Curie. The Radioactive is on one hand the story of recognition of women in the predominantly male scientific community at the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries. And on the other hand, a description of the consequences that seemingly positive discoveries brings with them. This approach is one of the problems of the picture, based on a graphic novel by Lauren Redniss, which was adapted for the screen by Jack Torney, Miracle, a narrative in where the relationship between the spouses is sealed in an attempt to tell in an accessible language about their scientific experiments and the opposition of female scientists to a conservative society as a whole. Marie and Pierre Curie. This is by far the most screened couple figure in science. An incredible number of films have been shot about them. The director, Iranian-American Marjane Satrapi, turned Madame Curie into a kind of Wonder Woman from the world of science, and the film itself seemed to be descended from the pages of comics. The incredible atmosphere and rhythm of the picture, to match the bright light of his heroine, will plunge you into the story of a great woman. I myself have personally encountered sexism just like my friends, so after this list I would like to tell you some stories that I have accumulated over a long time. Once, during a filmmaking course, the guys and I were making a short film where I was the director and 5 guys worked with me, 4 of whom also participated in the course, and the 5th was my friend invited as an actor. We filmed the short film in 2 locations, one of which took 95% of the time, and all the equipment given to us until 6 p.m. There were a lot of RV and Kino flow light and sound recording devices. There was also a generator on the site itself, which interrupted the sound very noisily, insanely noisily. So I was running like from the first to the third through all the building, from the third to the first through all the building, like make a round through all the building, go to the guard and ask him to turn off the generator. And the thing is that he had to turn it off only for 10 minutes, then to turn it on again, and then to turn it off again, and then to turn it on again. So, as you can see, it took a lot of time and effort. About 5% took the final scene, for which we did not need any equipment, no lighting, no sound recording devices, literally just 2 frames of an actor walking. But at the same time, it also required some movement, So I was thinking we're gonna shoot it about like 30 minutes. And when it was necessary to arrange the set with equipment, I said that we shoot the longest scene first and then we move to the small part, after we gave up all the equipment and all the rest. One guy began to strongly argue with me that we should do the smallest scene first and then move to the longest part. I spent 10 minutes trying to convince all the guys to shoot in a proper manner. So the long and hardest part we shoot first, giving the idea that I have to turn off the noise generator until 6 p.m. we have to return all our equipment, and after we gave up equipment we will move to the last frames that is less important and can't be shot without lighting and sound recording devices. Well, two guys took his side immediately, and the main arguments were, you're a woman, you're stupid, you don't understand, obviously you don't have a logic, so you don't understand us, we should do as I said. And even though I'm the director, apart my friend that was invited as an actor, he wasn't entering in the conversation because he's a guest and he's not a part of the team. And the thing is that the main arguments were, you're a woman, you don't understand, women don't have a logic, so obviously you don't understand. You're stupid, you should do as I said, because I'm a man. Everyone agrees with me, right? So do as I do. Do as I told you. No, like, constructive criticism. Well, in a few words, he was saying to me, oh, you're stupid, and I'll always be better than you, no matter what I'm telling you, just because I'm a man and you're a woman. Finita la commedia. I didn't react to such statements because we were literally out of time, and apart from that, it was our first experience to shooting a short film, so knowing that and how to work with the newborn filmmakers is gonna destroy our team so much. So it was like no sense to make this discussion happen, and I mean timing. So I swallowed all the insults. Also due to the fact that the guy brought a low quality script to the set, which I reluctantly gave him for development, hoping that I need to delegate tasks or to learn how to delegate tasks. Well, I was greedy to give some work to others and like to do everything myself, everything, even if it takes a lot of time, just because I want to have full control over everything. It was really hard for me to delegate tasks, and it was my first movement to this, and I don't know how to delegate tasks. It's really hard for me. Still need to learn how to delegate tasks. Apart that, okay. What I mean by low quality script, it's actually the script that I gave him for development with no addition at all. At all. There was a guy from the course standing next to us. It was also a part of our team. He stood for 10 minutes with a surprised face. And then he said just one phrase to that conflicted guy. You're wrong. We should always do the hardest part first. And all three guys immediately agreed with him. Immediately. Even though 20 seconds ago I was saying the exact same phrase. And they were telling me, oh, you're a woman, you're stupid, you don't understand because you don't have a logic. So, it was a complete shock for me that they agreed to a man so easily. Well, I was happy, and we moved to the set and started arranging the equipment, making some jokes and all the rest. I swallowed the insults and everything. I forgot about it because we should do our work because we were running out of time. And it's still a complete shock for me the way that he agreed in 1 second. Can you imagine? Now, try to imagine how I felt. Trying to convince all the guys about 10 minutes or maybe even 15 minutes, the exact same phrase, the exact same thoughts, with no expression of my feelings, no argument. I was just explaining. There was no actually arguing. We didn't have a really conflict. I was just explaining in a calm manner what we should do and why. Okay, never mind. I already explained everything. I'm sure you understood. Of course, I swallowed my thoughts on this matter and happily began to organize the equipment, because work is work, and no matter how sexist man insults you, you can't afford responding back. There wasn't enough time anyway. We spent an hour finalizing the script and a lot more organizing the set with equipment, turning off the generator, and like all the rest. Because work is work. And no matter how sexist man insults you, you can't afford responding back. You have to do your job and finish the film. Oh, other work that you do. In fact, we successfully finished the film and all our course liked it. The professor, the director, they all liked it. But the sharp transition from quarrels to complete obedience to one phrase from a man was unforgettable. That day I understood quite well how this world is working. The thing is that I've prepared quite a lot of pages for this video and some other videos, but I'm actually running out of time and have to go to the university. I'm already almost late. And the thing is that my lighting is also on charging. It's about to shut off. The camera as well. I already changed the battery of the camera. And yeah, I think like all the rest of the pages I'm gonna like read, and you're not gonna see my face, apart that I'm gonna add some videos that I've made during all these past years, and I wasn't able like to show it on my YouTube channel. So the rest of the story you're gonna hear like here and see some random frames that is not connected to the story at all, just because I want to. Okay, I have to run. I have to run. Someone might say that I failed to position myself as a specialist in the group. At the time, I remember how well I placed myself in the group, since before that story we were filming another short film in the same group, just without my friend, and again, I was the director. And when I was asked to film some details of actors' actions, that guy also resisted, explaining that these actions are stupid and not necessary for the film at all. Even though I was the director again, and it was my script that I brought again. It was I who found and booked the set again. It was I who asked for lighting. Eric in a floor, I decided what lighting we needed and we ordered it. But our professors decided that it was our first project and it's better to concentrate on building a shooting skills instead of creating a good picture. That guy very much resisted to my desire to shoot the treasured shot. When a man pulled his back towards him during a conversation, silently, literally a couple of seconds, but when we viewed it on a big screen, all the works of the teams of this course, that guy and our entire film crew and the course group, about 40 people, loved this short film and praised it for a long time for the film details and added comedy as a seasoning to the characters. That guy told me that this shot made a lot of sense to the movie and it suits perfectly. Of course, when a visiting spy hides important documents in his suitcase and that the sheriff comes down to him for a conversation at the bar, that shot that we've made the whole room laugh. And I mean, I was fighting for this shot. By the way, for this short film, I asked for lighting equipment in the course that I was taking, but since the teachers thought of us as dilettantes and newborn filmmakers, they did not give any lighting to us, only saying that you can at least handle acting and filming and next time you're gonna make it with lighting. But already in the cinema hall, all the teachers complained that I didn't take the lighting and it would be better if I took the lighting. It was necessary to take the lighting and the work was very worthy. Of course, I already had several years of filming behind me. This is definitely just a long journey of gaining knowledge and skills, not magic. So my dear ladies and gentlemen, don't listen to anyone, but listen only to yourself and your heart. You are smart enough and worthy of attention to you and your work, if you yourself believe so. By the way, Fortunately, in my life, there was also inadequate men whom I respect and love madly. They're the ones who notice the sexist phrases of men and their own misogyny of women, women's own sexist and derogatory phrases about women and themselves. They remind women that there is no difference between the sexes and they are capable of more. They are the ones who support women and often notice their professional skills and support their professional aspirations. I absolutely adore my friends. So choose men around you wisely.